Hi, I'm Alex, and this is the Pricode YouTube channel. Today we are going to learn the concept of roots in Laravel. The best way to understand it is just going to the code, so let's go there now. So now that we have installed Laravel in our computer, we now need to start to code. But the first thing that we need to understand is how Laravel is structured. I'm going to make a fast review of the folders and files that it has to tell you more or less what they do. But over the videos that we are going to do and the series of these videos, you are going to understand way better when we start to code deep and controllers, views, and other stuff that we are going to make. Okay, so right now I'm here on the folder. This is the path of my folder, and I'm going to then open my Sublime Text, which is just the text editor that I use for code. So now that I have this, let's go over the folders. So the main folder logic is this one, it's the app. So right here is where the models and the controllers lives, and also the providers that we are going to understand that later. Controllers are here. Also the middlewares. The middlewares is more or less how you can handle requests for the application before you can start a logic. So imagine that here we can set things like the authentication for the application. We can also have several exceptions if you want. We can also create console commands, but that's way further from this video. So right now we are just trying to understand how it works. And this one, this user file that appears over here, it's the model for a user. So this is just an example that it comes from the Laravel installation. We are going to look at that more later. The model, as I mentioned in the last video, is where the data lives. So this is the interface with the data that we're going to be connected with MySQL server in an upcoming video. This bootstrap is where all the applications scaffoldings are created and are set up. Here are the configs of the application. We can just edit many things over here. We were going to edit several of them in the upcoming videos. The database folder is where the factories, migrations, and seeds live. So the factories is where you can create a bunch of data for your application. The migrations are the are routines that create or alter tables on the database. The seeds is where you fill those tables that you created with data, but just test data, and the factories is more for dummy data. The public is where the application lives. This is where all the requests are created. Are received and then are processed by the application. The resource folder is with the JavaScript, SAS, and languages files lives, as is where you create the views. So also here is the folder view that we are going to use in this small video. And in this video, this views folder is where the HTML or the user view is going to live. The roots, which is the main focus of this video, is where we are going to set how the application is going to respond to a request. So just a couple minutes later, we are going to get deep in this. The storage folder is where the application, for example, use those folders to upload images that the user is uploading, logs of the application, where the cache lives, things like that. The test is, Laravel comes with an inner framework for testing. This is a very interesting feature that it has, and later we are going to make a very interesting things with this. The vendor folder, it's a folder that you should not never touch. So the vendor folder contains all the packages that composer has set for this application. Imagine that, even if you have an application that is a totally outside from Laravel or is using another PHP framework, you will maybe need, let's say, I don't know, let's say that you have that you need to use an HTML converter to PDF, and there exists a repo or a package in Composer that can make that. So you will install, and all those packages will be installed over here in the vendor folder. This should never been touched, but if you wanted to update any of these packages, you go to this Composer JSON file. And in the Composer JSON file, you are going to tell, okay, I need to require, I don't know, another packages. In the video that I'm going to share on the description for the Composer and how it works, we are going to do several good things, and you can get a better understanding how the Composer works and how you can play with. But for the goal of this video, just keep in mind to never touch the vendor folder. Never you should edit anything over here. You just need to left what it lives over there, or just update it over here with the composer JSON file. And this is the Webpack configuration file. This is the server. Webpack is a very interesting thing. This is the artisan that we managed in the last video. This is very interesting, and this is how the application makes. It has a whole common system that you can use to handle your application and create good things with, and it's a very useful tool that it has. I really like all the PHP frameworks, or all the frameworks that has a console manager. And if it hasn't, it's a little bit difficult to get the learning curve. But this one is a very cool one. And the other thing that happened in the last video is, if you took a look, the installer copied a file called .env and example to a .env. So the .env file is where all configs that Laravel needs to have and needs to use over the application are going to live. This file normally does never appear in the Git repository. We are going to have another video about the Git repository. Git repository is a very important tool for any developer. If you really want to be a good developer, you need to understand Git, and you need to live in the console. If you are a developer that use graphic interface all the time, and you prefer graphic interface, you're not going to be, uh, I mean, super further on this life, because if you can understand anything on the console, you can understand the rest on the GUI. So I really wanted to evangelize this to all the people that is going to watch this video, because if you understand how the console is and how the console works, you can make almost anything from there. So this file contains many variables that live in the environment. So let's say that, for example, you have a password over here. So the password should never be on the code. So you can set a password right here in this end file. So let's say that the password is, I don't know, YouTube. And the application will be ready to use this variable just using a simple PHP interpreter that it has, that we are going to understand that later. So When the .m.example file gets copied to the .m file, it creates, the installer creates this key, and this key is super important because it's how all the requests are handled by Laravel. So each time that it sends or it receives a request, it uses a key to encrypt all the data. So this is important. You can also, for example, set a debug for the application. You can set the URL of the application. You can set the controller if you're going to use MySQL or Postgres or whatever, and you can set, for example, the user and the database name that you're going to use. You can set QE connections. All these variables can be needed in a real life application that you can make with Laravel. In the next video, in the upcoming videos, we are going to use these ones for the connection to the MySQL server that we are going to set. But for now, I just want you to understand that this file is super important for Laravel just to be alive. So regarding the roots, it's so any application, any web application has a root. So what is the root? So this is the main application domain, and any root is how the framework is going to handle a request. So let's say that we want to receive or to show anything if I make something like a slash YouTube. Okay. So it tells me that it's not for not found page because it cannot understand exactly what is a YouTube, what is a slash YouTube for the application. So the root, it's exactly where we are going to set those values, and we can start to modify how the responses, how the application is going to respond to that specific request. So let's do it. Let's do a simple example over here. And the files, Laravel has several roads manager. So it has one from an API, it has one for channels, it has one for consoles, and it has one for web. In this video, we're going to just talk about the web, but later in the second series of these videos, we are going to set an API. So let me show you one thing here on the console. So one of the things that I love from Laravel is that it has the artisan, as I mentioned before. So with artisan, we can see which roads the application is understanding in this moment. So if I do something like a PHP artisan roads list, it tells me that it does understand the slash, which is the main one right here on the domain, this one, and it does understand the API user. But I don't know exactly what's going to happen over here, but well, in theory, it should tells me that it's nothing over there. So the good thing about this is that we can edit and we can understand. Okay, it shows me that it's an error because I don't have anything on the user, and we are going to set something later. So the good thing about this is that we are going to have a list of all the understanding roots that the system has. Okay. So if you can see over here in the web roots file, we have a root manager that receives a get. So what is get? Get is an HTTP verb. So the HTTP verbs allows to the HTTP protocol to understand what is going to be received. So get is just a verb that it should be used for receive information, not for to save information in the server. So in this case, it says that if we receive the single slash request, which is just a simple the domain, it should return the view with the review name welcome. So let's make a simple example with the YouTube root that I mentioned before. Let's just to say, hey, so root get welcome, and we are going to set a callback. So the callbacks are the functions that are going to happen after it received the information, it received the request. So in this case, we are going to say return a YouTube. So we save, we do PHP artisan route list. Oh, it says there is an issue. Oh, yeah, I have semicolon here. There you go. It's now understanding. Okay, it said welcome. It should be YouTube. It's now understanding YouTube. So let's take a look what happens over here. So if I set something like YouTube, there you go. Hey, YouTube. In the next video, we are going to learn the concept of views and controllers and how to integrate them with roots. If you like the video, give a thumbs up, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.